All right, celebrations not done yet. We're still seeing a good amount of demand for certain products. So for the ETB, you see that just yesterday 11 was sold. And usually to look at the price differences, I just go through. You see a lot of in the 270s, 275 to 280 around here, starting around yesterday. These were all sales from yesterday up to here. Before that, it was selling for about 260 pretty commonly. There was a couple 270 sales. There was one 290 that was a little higher, but typically before this, it was around closer to 250, 260. And now we're seeing the price go still about 262. That's mostly because there's just one seller here, and then it goes to 270, and then over here. But yeah, a lot more demand has been being flushed out for this, and it seems like there's still enough sort of supply available that people are just switching up the prices. But next we go to ultra premium collections. We see that three sold yesterday, even at the higher price. We see that they're being bought for $800 now. Even a few days ago, they're starting to sell for $800, and we're still kind of maintaining that. Before that, they were selling for about $740, $750. Right now, they are still $800, and we're just seeing these couple kind of flush out until we get to the next price up, which is really $100 more. It's a pretty extreme jump, but there are these two sellers, about 6 UPCs. For the Pokemon Center ETB, you see three sold yesterday. There's honestly something about yesterday that had a lot of increase in demand. I'll get in the Sword and Shield boxes yes pretty soon, but yeah, there was a good amount of activity yesterday for stuff. Haven't checked the other market updates yet, but we're seeing three of these sold yesterday, selling for about 350, 365, 390. That's kind of the normal kind of range. It's still about 380. There's three left, and we go to about 395. And we're just inching toward $400. Celebrations, PCTBs. Packs, they had a little bit of activity, just 11, nothing too amazing. But you just see there was this huge gap of no activity for some of these items. Here is a little less. For here, there's a little bit over there, and then here it was pretty slow until yesterday. So just a little gap. All of a sudden, Friday, I don't know what happened on Friday, but people are buying a little more for these chests. These had this really big gap, and all of a sudden, yesterday and today, two were sold and the three were sold. These are about 108 now, and it looks like they're selling for. Sometimes they sold for 105 mid July. Before they're selling for 90 or something. So now these are around 108. These could become 110 pretty soon. And just a little bit on some of these other products. Pikachu V Union box. In case you guys look at other collection boxes and stuff, it seems like this has been rising a little more. You see that it sold for about $100 yesterday. Before that, it only sold for almost 90. Sometimes more like 85, and these are about $100 now. So these suddenly rose. These have been selling about one per day roughly. So these other collection boxes, they don't really do as well. But some possible highlights: the Charizard one, since selling this later end of the month, there's only 29 available. These get a lot more affected by the slow supply. But you do see it selling for around 100 recently, and now it's at 107. So it could rise. Actually, there's two of them, and then 117. But these are again more dictated by this low supply. There's these Sylveon boxes that had a little more activity lately, and they're still hovering around the same price, about 65 to 75. And right now they're at 78. So they're just starting to get a little more expensive. And then these Charizard tins, to see a little two sold today. There's only 24 listed, and the price is still kind of around 65 to 70 lately. Right now it's at 65, but there's only 5 sellers selling these, and most of them have one except for this one over here. All right, and then the booster box update. So Sword and Shield still has its pretty good amount of kind of activity, and there's certain boxes that rise more than others. And Scarlet Violet had a bunch of demand yesterday, so we gotta go through that. Fusion Strike has risen to 760, so it's up about $10. Lost Origin has dropped, but I have a caveat to that. Sword and Shield base has more activity, and Dark Displays is down about $4. But let's just go over this. So, I like to go over not just the pricing data, but what I'm actually seeing is happening and explain it. So Fusion Strike I said it's probably the next box to rise, and yeah, it did rise. 3 boxes sold yesterday. It just has it's been having a good amount of slow demand. Like I've been saying for this bull run, it's been slow and steady for a lot of boxes, and that's actually better instead of having just a few days of lost spikes in supply. What you see is you see slow buyouts, and that builds up more organic demand because people will see that and they'll start getting FOMO, buy more boxes. So let's look at the price ladder. So you see 760, 775 to 800. So I said that it has a really great runway to 800, and you really see it. There's literally only two boxes until $800, and it jumps quite a bit even after 800. It goes 815, and then 827, 850, and so this really is a result of just a slow buying activity. So what happens is that supply actually gets lower. It has to get lower, right? Because people are actually buying boxes. And then that gives time for sellers to also relist their boxes. And a lot of times, what happens is that people won't just buy the cheapest box; they'll buy boxes in between, and they're willing to pay a little bit of premium. Like let's say, like one common one is like maybe like you're a little biased and you want to go toward a seller that like you like better. Like this one has 50,000 sales, 99% feedback. You want to be really sure that your box is good. And so you just buy this one. So some people will do that, and then enough people will just do no supply where you see a result like this. And then since this has been happening on all the boxes, a lot of boxes are in shield just keeps happening. So Fusion Strike is on the next to Ascent. Um, Lost Origin, I've been talking about a lot lately, where I said it's been having some of the greatest demand. So you see, it's a little better than Fusion Strike because it has a lot more days of consistent demand and a lot of days of like more than one box sold. And and Lost Origin technically drops, so it's down technically $30, but it's not really a concern because it actually looks better than yesterday, to be honest. So it looks better because yesterday when I was looking at the $600 mark, I was seeing that a lot of the boxes were priced around 600, so I wasn't sure Lost Origin would go up more. I don't really think that anymore because now I see today's prices. People have adjusted. It looks like the sellers have probably adjusted, unless because there's only one box sold. And what I see is that even though there's one cheap box here, I'm sure that'll get bought out pretty quickly. Now we're seeing it can pretty easily go 615 and even like 630 because I think the number of sellers has decreased around $600 mark. So that kind of happens too. Okay, so what else is moving? I'll mention Sword and Shield base. It's been selling like one box per day the last few days, and so it's up about $10. And I don't know if it'll go to 650. It'll take two boxes unless people adjust their prices. But people are even going to Sword and Shield base, so you have to pay attention to kind of like where boxes have been moving. So there's a little more momentum there. It could keep going. I think Rebel Clash and Darkness Ablaze haven't had as much recent activity. Darkness Ablaze took 2 days off. Vivid Voltage took the day off yesterday. It's been selling a little more. Vivid Voltage still looks like it'll go to 240 though. Battle Styles, I think it's been slowing down a little bit too. But its next price target is about 225. Chilling Rain has kind of picked up back, so you see like it had a good amount of demand, but it's more condensed in days than Fusion, and so it hasn't actually risen up in price yet. But it's still going. So you see it slowed down a little bit, but you still see the 4 box sold yesterday. Now there's one box left at 415, and then you see the price ladder is still pretty good. It goes to 445, 457, 460, so it could easily go to the 460s. If it jumps enough, it'll go to the 500s. But as more people buy boxes, the number of people who will list at 415 are going to go down, and the number of boxes around 460 is going to go down too. Home Skies has been pretty slow, so it's already kind of had its run. I don't really think it'll go up anymore. I think it's already had its huge run, but right now there is one box for 2,400 and a picture listing, and another box has not a picture listing, and then there's a lot of people hovering in between, which is kind of normal. Wouldn't be surprised it goes to the 2,300s at some point. I already talked about Fusion, Brilliant Stars. It is slowing down a little bit too, unfortunately. So hopefully it picks back up. If it slows down too much, then maybe it kind of stops. People have been avoiding buying Vertex Pokebin, which sells at 410. You do see the boxes hovering around 420 to 440. Astral Radiance, no one's really buying lately. It kind of picked up a little bit and slowed down. But Silver Tempest I'm looking at. Silver Tempest still looks pretty good. So it took a break yesterday after having a lot of consecutive days. And there's 2 boxes left at 390 and it goes toward 400. It's been here kind of before. But yeah, like Silver Pebbles definitely has better momentum than some of the other boxes. And then for Scarlet Violet, there hasn't been a lot as much activity lately, but yesterday it kind of changed. So you're seeing a lot of activity for Scarlet Violet base and Paradox Rift. So the cheaper boxes they got bought out a little bit. So 6 sold yesterday, 1 sold today. Um, and you see there's only 3 boxes left around 210. So people bought it all up, and then we got 215 for about 3 boxes, and then 225. So the recovery is kind of coming back. And then Paradox Rift has gone up $7 to 217. So 7 sold yesterday, 1 sold today. I said that Paradox is easier to recover than SV base. You see it's already very close back to 225. There's only these 2 boxes, like this box at 217, and then these are really close to 220. So there's 3 boxes and then 225. And Obsidian Flames, which is a new high, I've been calling this box out. I've been like, yeah, it's been pretty obvious it's gonna rise. A lot of the cheaper supply has been bought out around 230 to 240. 3 boxes sold yesterday, and the next price target's around 255. Obsidian Flames tends to rise in like $5 increments. Temporal Forces had a strangely low prices. There were a bunch of sellers selling for about like 218, low 220s. I think those are bought out, and now we're back to going toward 240 again. This is 230. This is around 230, and then 238, 240. So the temporal, it kind of had a weird blip, and then it kind of recovered. Twilight is still having pretty low demand. You see, like this isn't really that good demand here for Twilight. This is good for a Sword and Shield box. This is not good for Twilight Masquerade, which is old, which is newer, and it kind of dropped recently. So it's still around sticking around 280, but there hasn't been that push yet for Twilight. So it's stuck in like hopefully people will keep buying mode. Still recorded a bunch of demand yesterday at 6 yesterday, and 1 sold today. So it's back pretty healthy around 225. And a lot of the cheaper box 225 are sold. There's 5 left, and we're going towards 229 or 230. And then Surging Sparks, the mystery box, in my opinion. So it's been having technically more demand. If you look at just this area over here, there's like 3 spikes of about roughly 12 to 13 boxes each. Compared to normal at most, it's like about 10. So it's been selling more lately. But the price has been kind of stuck around 240 to 245. I really think it's like it has to do with the reprints. Newer sets kind of taking priority, like that's the rivals, and also like there's just too many people who had the cheaper boxes below like 240. Like a lot of people got the $100 mark or 100 to $150 mark early on. So Surging Sparks, it's still a really good set. It just doesn't really go up, unfortunately.